Alright, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD, or Application and Website Development Program, and in particular the AWD 1112 Application Programming with Java class, I'm doing a series of video presentations based on the two books being used for the class. The first book, as you can see here, is Java Quick Syntax Reference. I am now starting Chapter 4 of the book on operators. So the first thing we discuss in here are arithmetic operators. So let's do it. I'm going to keep using the program that I have been using in here, this one right here. Alright, and I'm going to clean it up a little bit. What I mean is, I'm going to grab every variable that I've created, and I'm going to put all of them, I don't need static now because it's inside of main. So first we talked about ints, then we talked about doubles, then we talked about chars. So this is going to look a little funky for a minute here, but please bear with me. So what do we have here? There's my integer. Then we did our float. Then we did our char. And then we did our boolean. Finally, we printed all of them out. Okay, so that's what we've got in here so far. Now, I'm going to grab everything that I've done so far, everything, and I'm going to comment all of it out. So I'm going to come in here /* and I'm going to comment it out with a */. All right, so I'm commenting all that out. And I'm going to create a bunch of variables. So I'm going to have in here int x equals 17, int y equals 7. And then I'm going to have int sum equals x plus y, int difference or diff equals x minus y, int the product equals x times y, int the quotient equals x divided by y, and finally int mod, which is to be the remainder operator, equals x modulo y. All right, now I'm going to print all these out, but you're all smart people. 17 plus 7, that should be 24. That should be 10. That should be 119. That should be what, 2 points something? And that should be 3. Because 17 divided by 7, it goes in twice with a remainder of 3. So let's print all these out. All right. So I'm going to do a SOUT. The sum is, oops, I need it in double quotes, plus sum. You know what we're going to do too is, before we do each one of these, we're going to do a \n, which means start it with a new line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got the sum is, the diff is, the prod is, the quote is, and finally the mod is. All right, so let's save those and see if indeed what we thought we'd get is what we get. So what do we have here? Well, it's giving us some warnings and errors, and it doesn't like something. Something with marital status that was in here, so, this. Let me get rid of that. I apologize. All right, let's do another file, save all. And let's run the program again. So the sum is 24. So that's 17 plus 7. The diff is 10. That's 17 minus 7. The product is 119, which is 17 times 7. The quote is 2. Well, 2. It's because I said that the product, the quote was an int. What if I change that to double? All right. Finally, the mod is 3, just like we thought. So I changed that to a double. File, save all, and let's run it again. And what you'll notice is we get now 2.0. What's the problem? It's because when I divide an integer by an integer, it throws away any non-integer result. So 3 ways I can change this. I can cast and say float right there, or I can say float right there, or as I'm showing, I can do both. Now, the reason this will work is notice that these castings are both on the right-hand side of the equal sign. So I'm not changing the value of x or y. I'm changing the value of a copy of x or y. So now, if I do a save all and I run it, now I get the quote is 2.42857, etc. But the point is, it worked. So our arithmetic operators are plus for addition, minus for subtraction, asterisk for multiplication. Let's just float one of these so this will look a little nicer. Slash for division. And finally, the parenthesis, the percent sign for modulus. Modulus. Okay, so those are our basic arithmetic operators. Let's see if I've missed anything from the book here. Arithmetic. The assignment we've talked about already. Let's look at the combined assignment operators and the increment and decrement. Let's look at both those right now. All right. So if I want to come in here and say, so I've done all this stuff. Let's go and comment out. Let's comment out all of these system outs. Again, there's different ways that I can comment these out, but I'm just doing them one at a time there. All right. So now I'm going to say here, x, I want to say x equals x plus 3, and there's nothing wrong with that. So if I say x equal x plus 3, does it come in and add 3? The sum is 26. Is that correct? 17 plus 7 is 24, and 3 is 27. Why did that say 26? So it says 24. So it says the sum is x plus y. Oh, I've changed it in here. See that? Or have I? All I've changed is the value of x. That should say sum equals sum plus 3. There we go. Now, if I did it right, it should say 27. And it does. All right, and there's nothing wrong with doing this. except it's a little bit more typing. So what I can say is sum plus equals 3. I can also say, I can use this with all of these. Diff minus equal 3. Prod times equal 3. Quote divide equal 3. And mod % equal 3. All right. Now if I go and undo these, what it should do is it should take 17 plus 7, which is 24, and add 3 to it. So that should be 27 right here. Then it should say 17 minus 7, which is 10, minus 3, so that should be 7. Then 17 times 7, which is 119, times 3 is 357. Then 17 divided by 3, or by 7, which is 2 point something, and then divide that by 3, so that should be less than 1. And finally, take the modulo, which is 3, and modulo it again by 3, so that should be 0. Let's see if indeed those all worked as expected. So file, save all, and let's run it. 27, 7, 357 less than 0, and 0. They all worked as expected. These are called the combined operators. All right. Let's assume for a minute here that I want to add or subtract 1 from these values. All right. I can say x equals x plus 1. Not a problem. But again, there is a shortcut. This shortcut only works when you're adding or subtracting 1 from your variable. So I can come in here and say either plus plus x or x plus plus. Both of these are the same thing as saying x equals x plus 1. There's also, it's called the auto increment. There's also an auto decrement to subtract 1 from the variable. Now, why is it that I can do either a minus minus x or an x minus minus? Well, if I come through here and I say int a equals 9, int b equals plus plus a. What this one here does is, since the plus plus comes before the variable, it adds 1 to a, so a is now 10, then it takes the 10 and it assigns it to b. On the other hand, if I change this to a plus plus, all right, then it takes what's in a, which is 9, and it assigns it to b. Then it adds 1 to a. So b will have 9, a will have 10. And minus minus works in the same way. All right. Comparison operators. All right, we got comparison, logical, and bitwise. And then finally our order of precedence, which will, I believe, finish up the chapter. Yes, it will. All right, so I've shown you plus plus, minus minus. I've shown you these. I've shown you these. Let's look at the comparison operators. The comparison operators are what you think they would be. In other words, for comparison, we have what? Greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, which is 2 equal signs, and not equal to. Not going to give examples of those. This is a fourth semester class. We've looked at these already. I don't think there's anything new there for anybody. So, we also have logical operators, exactly the same as what we had in C#. And they are for AND, for OR, and for NOT. Again, I don't feel the need to go over these. We have talked about these before. All right? There are bitwise operators. I'm not going to run through these. As it says, it allows you to manipulate individual bits within an integer. Technically, this is how all math takes place within a computer, is via bitwise operators. I just don't want to go through that with you. I don't see the need to do that. Finally, again, the precedence. Now, are all of these correct? No. You know that you can override anything with parentheses, but you do all of these first. They're at the top level. Then you do multiplication, division, or modulo at the second level. Then you do addition and subtraction at the third level. Then you do bitwise operators at the fourth level. Then you do your comparison operators at the fifth level. And finally, your equality and inequality at the sixth level. Again, you can always override that via the use of parentheses. All right, so when I come back, we'll go over Chapter 5 and talk a little bit about using strings.